The sinking of the Titanic, a disaster that should never have happened. The Titanic was the biggest and most luxurious ship of its time. Many people considered it to be unsinkable. The captain was experienced and the ship had lifeboats. What could go wrong? Well, as it turned out, almost everything. When the Titanic set sail from Southampton on April 10, 1911, it was the height of luxury travel. The ship's opulent dining room was filled with delicacies like lobster, caviar, and champagne. There were smoking rooms filled with comfortable chairs and sofas where men could relax and enjoy the finest cigars. There was even a swimming pool and a gym. But there was also a huge trade-off. The Titanic was taking on water, but the crew didn't seem to care. On April 14, 1912, the Titanic collided with an iceberg. This should not have happened because the crew was supposed to be looking out for icebergs, but they weren't. And when the ship hit the iceberg, it only had one lifeboat, and it was in the wrong place. As a result, when the lifeboat was lowered into the water, it was too far away from the passengers to do any good. By the time it reached them, many of the passengers had already panicked and jumped into the water. In total, there were only 3 lifeboats, and none of them were close enough to the passengers to help. The crew was supposed to lower the lifeboats first and then sound the alarm, but they did it backwards. As a result, many people died unnecessarily. Today, we remember the victims of the Titanic, and we honor the heroes who tried to save them. We also learn from the mistakes that were made so that another tragedy like this never happens again. Here are some of the things that could have prevented the sinking of the Titanic. First of all, the ship was designed with a lot of open spaces that allowed water to come in and flood the ship. If the ship had been designed with more enclosed spaces, it would have been much more difficult for water to leak in. Secondly, the Titanic didn't have enough lifeboats. Even though it was the largest ship of its time, it only had 3 lifeboats for over 2,000 passengers and crew. Thirdly, the crew didn't sound the alarm as soon as they realized the ship was in danger. They waited several minutes before sounding the alarm, which gave the passengers and crew very little time to react. Finally, the nearby ship saw the Titanic's flares, but assumed they were fireworks. They didn't realize until the next morning that they had been watching a tragedy unfold. All of these mistakes could have been avoided if the people involved had just been more careful. The sinking of the Titanic was a disaster that should never have happened. It was a tragedy that resulted from a series of bad decisions, but it is a tragedy that we can learn from. Today we have laws in place to prevent another sinking from happening. Ships are built with more safety features than ever before, and we have emergency crews that are trained to respond quickly to disasters like these. The sinking of the Titanic was a tragedy, but it is a tragedy that has made us safer at sea.